Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap. Actually, this isn't going to be a recap, it's going to be a review of The Quad Season 2, Episode 5, which was titled Native Son. And the reason this isn't going to be a recap is because I was a little disappointed in this episode. So I didn't take notes, and I just wanted to talk about the Quad. We'll talk about this episode, but just my feelings on the Quad. I think after such a powerful first season that they have kind of like, I don't know if they've lost some of their writers, if they've lost some of their direction, or what's going on with the show, but it just hasn't been as eventful this year as it was with the last season. And even with the Eva situation with the police, her being stopped by the police last week, I thought that was going to be more exciting. Well, it wasn't even last week, and maybe it was because we skipped a week because they didn't come on last week. So I thought that was going to pick up and it was going to be more in-depth and exciting and everything, but it really wasn't. It was a weak episode because what they did was, Eva was insisting that she was going to sue the guy. They found out that the guy had other cases where people, had criticized him and said that he had police brutality and discrimination and all of this stuff was going on with him, but then they could never prove it, or the people withdrew their complaints, and then he was never charged by the district attorney in any of the cases. And then there was one guy that had filed a lawsuit against him, but then all of a sudden the guy dropped the lawsuit. So Eva got the name of the guy, she went to see him, and the guy was like, basically, I guess they had scared him, and he said he wasn't going to jail, fooling behind no racism, and that she was on his own, and she was on her own, and he wasn't going to help her. And so Eva, gave a spiel about, we can't be letting them do this to us. We got to stand up for our rights. And she gave him her card, but when she walked out, he tore the card up. And so then there was a scene where she was off she had went to the store to pick up some stuff, and it was dark outside. So when she got through putting the stuff in the trunk of the car and she went to close the trunk, the guy was standing there, the police officer was standing there, so basically intimidating her and telling her to move on, and that there was something wrong with her, and he pulled her over because she was driving erratically. And Eva kept insisting, no, I wasn't, you did it because I was black. And so then a black police officer pulled up, and then Eva was like running over to the patrol car asking for help, when the white cop, who I'm still trying to figure out how this whole police station setup worked. But anyway, he told the guy to go on, everything was okay. So the black cop drove off. And then at the end of the day, they ended up indicting the police officer, and he was going to be charged with harassment and intimidation or something. And when we got to the end of the show, when the show first started, there was a guy with Eva, and so he bends over and he kisses Eva and goes off. We never see who he is. And then at the end of the show, it closes in the same way, where the guy comes out of the bathroom, and we get to see who he is. And we don't know who he is because we never seen him on the show before. But it turns out he's like a doctor or a pharmacist or something. But anyway, Eva done hooked up with the man so that he'll write her prescriptions for anxiety. And so before he leaves, she's like, oh, do you have that something for me? And so the guy pulls out the bottle of pills, and he's telling Eva, you really need to go to a doctor and all of this stuff. But he gives her the pills. And now we're wondering, okay, so was Eva high when the police officer stopped her? Was she driving erratically? And maybe that's going to come out down the line. But just the way that it played out on the show, it was just poor writing and all thrown together. And then we had a scene where, remember in the last episode, there was a fight at the party with the guys, the young recruits or whatever. So they catch Bojan when he's leaving the store and they beat him up. And then he goes back to the dorm and his roommate, Junior. Yeah, Junior is like, well, man, we got to get, what's going on. So he finally admits to Junior that he had gotten jumped by those guys. So then Junior goes to the locker room and the coach is telling him, you're off the team, you're suspended, you can't be in here, you got to leave. And so he was telling him that Bojan was sick or he had failed or something. And so then the coach was telling him, he had to get out the locker room and stuff. And so he basically shouted out, he got jumped by those guys. So then the other players was like, okay, well, we're going to go get him. We're going to go get him. And I'm just like, really, would y'all, in real life, would y'all jump up in front of the football coach and say that y'all get ready to go retaliate against some high school kids? That was... Anyway, what else happened on the show? And then Dr. Diamond, he sat in on the band, and it was Kyle. Remember Kyle from Living Single? So he has this band, and he invites Diamond to play with him in the band, and there's a drummer, the young kid, and so the drummer got attitude, and he don't want to work with Diamond, and so he was like going ahead of the scores and everything, trying to throw Diamond off. And then we later learned that the boy is actually Diamond's son, and that his mom passed away and told Kyle not to never tell nobody. And so he felt it was his duty to tell Diamond that the boy was his son, and that he had told the boy, but the boy said he didn't want to meet him, that whoever raised him was his father. And just storylines for no reason. And what else happened on the show? And then I was sitting there thinking how, like, in one episode, people have a prominent role like Noni. Like, Noni trying to get back in the band. We didn't see Noni at all on this episode. And I can't remember if we saw her on the previous episode. So that storyline had been put on the back burner. The whole Sydney and what's the cute boy name? Jason. We didn't see them, I don't think, in this episode. And then we had, Eva told Ella Grace that the truth about how she lost her job up north, and that she had an affair with one of her graduate students, and that's why she got fired. And Ella Grace basically told her that had she known that, she wouldn't have pushed for her to get the job at GAMU. And Eva also says that, and this came about all with the pursuing the charges against the police officer, because she was saying that part of her, wants to stand her ground and, exercise her rights to get this guy off the streets. But then the other part of her is afraid that they're going to be digging into her background and coming up with stuff on her background. But we never saw any of that take place where any of this stuff came up. But we know that Ella Grace is going to stab her in the back and use that to get rid of her, because they got sick of Eva and the attention that she's bringing to the campus. And then we had Bryce's dad showed up, to chastise him for not crossing over with the fraternity. And then this got Cedric to want to be in the fraternity. So then we have the whole, where they're doing the walk and everything to reveal who the new fraternity members are, and we find out that one of them is Cedric. So I don't know what else was on that show. I'm sure they had somebody, kids was upset with Eva, and then they started sending Eva text messages about, them being upset. And Ella Grace told her, you shouldn't have gave the kids your phone number, because I never would have done that. So now you got to deal with it. And I think that was pretty much all that happened on the quad. And I don't know if it was the storylines that bothered me, or that they were so poorly written, or they were trying to cram so much into a 1-hour episode. And just the whole leaving us hanging, and then I guess in a couple of more weeks they'll come back. And I'm thinking this is episode 5, and I think the season is only like 8 to 10 episodes. So are y'all going to tie up the loose ends and bring all this stuff together? Like, what happened with, did they pay Terrence's parents the money that they owed? Like, what in the world is going on this show, and can we pull it together? Because I was really feeling the quad last year, not so much this year. So that's it for guys. Let me know if you're watching the quad. Are you enjoying the season? Are you not enjoying the season? Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.